A money manager doubles down on Ford as the new pickup gets ready to hit the road. In today's cover story, the next turn in the airbag scare. Plus, is business about to downshift at Uber? And let the games begin. Fans of the Hunger Games gear up for an exciting weekend. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Angela Miles. It's Thursday, November 20th. In our first look, the winning streak ends on Wall Street. Following a rocky session, stocks ended lower as commodities fell as well. In earnings after the close last night, Williams-Sonoma stock surged 7% on an earnings beat. The forecast, however, was shy of estimates. Green Mountain shares slipped 1% after topping estimates. The CFO is stepping down next year. Salesforce.com fell 4% on the cloud computing company's weak outlook. And a report says a Senate investigation has uncovered alleged aluminum price manipulation of commodities by big banks, which was costly for consumers. Chris Gersha of Altimus Capital has a look at today's market action. Here's his preview as we begin, Chris, with a look at the Fed minutes that came out yesterday, and it was a bit of a market mover.
It wasn't a huge market mover. A lot of traders thought the fact that they're moving out, potentially raising rates out to the autumn area, specifically October, that we'd have a lot more follow through. The futures ended actually negative. So a lot of traders right now are looking to see if there's a position that we can actually buy it to go higher, considering that there is definitely money flowing into the U.S. right now.
How critical is it to investors as well as traders to keep all eyes on the strength in the dollar against the yen?
Angie, you hit it. The big news yesterday was the fact that the 118 handle was tested, a 7-year high, the yen weakness against the dollar. That means that a lot of investors that saw this trade happening are actually continuing to send the momentum. There's a lot of weakness in Japan right now. A lot of investors, if they lose faith in the Japanese market, are going to lose faith in the U.S. S&P going higher. So look for that, if it hits 120, to be a big issue.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Chuck Coppola steps in now with the president's call on immigration reform. Chuck.
Angie, this evening, President Obama will deliver a televised speech outlining his plan to relax U.S. immigration policy and remove the threat of deportation for nearly half of the 11 million undocumented workers here. The reprieve could cover some parents of U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents by executive orders. In a statement, House Speaker John Boehner said, however, that the president's use of executive orders in this manner will cement his legacy of lawlessness.
Also making news in Russia, Happy Meals are available once again. The Moscow McDonald's is back in business after being shut down for 3 months. Russian officials closed the restaurant after alluding to poor hygiene. The closure happened shortly after the U.S. and European leaders placed sanctions on Russia for its role in the unrest in Ukraine.
In our cover story, today officials from Honda, Chrysler, the U.S. Transportation Department, and airbag supplier Takata Corporation will testify on Capitol Hill. The Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation wants to know how airbags linked to 5 deaths, 4 of them in the U.S., and more than 30 injuries, made it all the way through production and on to customers, and whether highway safety regulators had the information or resources to step in sooner. The driver's side airbags under investigation use ammonium nitrate to instantly inflate in a collision. But the chemical explodes with so much force, sharp pieces of the metal canister that holds it fly out toward drivers. They're in millions of vehicles from 10 automakers, mostly from 2008 or earlier. Honda has the highest percentage along with other Japanese automakers, but Detroit's big 3 are listed, and so is BMW.
These airbags are in cars from the early 2000s. As far as the industry is concerned, it's important to fix this and do it right, but obviously everyone's under a lot of scrutiny.
Takata, which supplies 1/3 of all airbags in cars, self-reports to NHTSA on safety. 2 former Takata employees reportedly told the New York Times that Takata executives knew about the defective airbags for 10 years, told employees to ignore it.
NHTSA is an underfunded, understaffed agency, and so they have to take the manufacturer's word. They trust the manufacturers when they say everything is okay.
It's moisture that makes ammonium nitrate unstable and explode with a higher degree of force. That's why initial recalls happened in highly humid parts of the U.S. But when a Takata airbag in a Ford went off in North Carolina, and then this week when NHTSA wanted a broader recall, NHTSA found Takata's initial response was an unwillingness to move forward.
It might take weeks or even months before automakers and Takata really comply with this request from NHTSA.
Takata's chairman and CEO said in a statement, "We deeply apologize for any concerns and troubles we have caused to our product users, our customers, and other stakeholders." Takata says it has changed the chemical mix in its inflators and will add 2 production lines to one of its plants in Mexico to make replacements. Working around the clock, it'll take 5 months to make 1 million of them.
Car ride sharing service Uber is spinning over an image issue. The Washington Post is among a number of news outlets reporting on controversial comments by a top Uber executive. Uber Senior Vice President Emil Michael said Friday he had the desire to spend $1 million to dig up information on the personal lives and families of journalists who write critically about the company. Uber CEO tweeted Michael showed a lack of leadership.
In threatening journalists, they're really overstepping their bounds, and I really believe it's going to really give them blowback from the way that the media covers them. And if it's been harsh now, it's going to be 10 times worse as a result of this.
That was David Johnson, the CEO of Strategic Vision. He adds, while the media's perception of Uber may shift, it will likely have little effect on loyal customers.
Cars get more connected at this year's LA Auto Show. Ford has rolled out its 2016 Explorer with updated technology. And the company hopes to keep sales strong for its crossover SUV, so it's added front and rear-facing wide-angle cameras and new parking assistance technology. Jaguar takes it to a whole new level with a new cloud technology for its vehicles. It lets Apple users access apps like Spotify and Twitter from the front seat.
Blame it on the bottom line. After years of holding out on charging for checked bags, JetBlue is tacking on fees. The airline is creating 3 ticket classes next year. Travelers purchasing fares in the top 2 tiers will be able to check at least 1 bag for free. Passengers paying for less expensive tickets will be charged for checked bags. Flights will also become more cramped as JetBlue squeezes in 15 more seats to its Airbus A320s. The changes were revealed as JetBlue execs met with shareholders in New York. Shares soared 4% Wednesday.
A massive fraud investigation could start weighing on Petrobras. The Brazilian energy company could cut the value of its assets and halt dividends due to an ongoing investigation of corruption within the company. Back in August, Petrobras was accused of giving kickbacks to politicians. Petrobras stock was little changed on the news, rising 7 cents. However, since August, the stock has fallen 45%.
In our IPO watch, 12 companies are debuting stock ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday week. REIT company Paramount Group opened for trading yesterday. Shares closed up 3%. It could become the largest REIT IPO so far this year. Shares of a major car rental provider in China, Ehai Car Services, are off to a slow start, gaining just a dime. Set to IPO tomorrow, Habit Restaurants with a price range of $14 to $16 under the ticker symbol HABT. That company has made to order char grilled burgers. And on Friday, Peak Resorts with a $9 to $11 price target under the ticker SKIS.
Goldman Sachs has had quite the year. The firm advised more M&As than any other Wall Street bank in 2014. 2 recent deals made that official. The activist Allergan acquisition and Halliburton's takeover of Baker Hughes were both mega mergers advised by Goldman. The Wall Street Journal reports Goldman has made $1.7 billion solely on M&As this year.
The wealthy are setting a record on hoarding. According to a global survey by WealthX and UBS, wealthy individuals are holding a stash of $30 million in assets each. That sets a new record. It is also a 6% increase from last year.
Wall Street advisors want investors to vote no on a pay package for Microsoft CEO. Institutional Shareholder Services, a company known as ISS, which advises institutional investors, is hoping to convince shareholders to vote against the pay plan for CEO Satya Nadella. The package would grant stock to Nadella over a span of 7 years and is valued at $65 million. That number depends, however, on Microsoft's value. Microsoft says the number motivates Nadella to create long-term shareholder value.
Retailers are ringing in better than expected sales numbers. Target surprised Wall Street with earnings proof business is turning around since its massive data breach. The CEO also cites momentum going into the holiday season, especially as gas prices plunge. Target shares rallied 7%. Lowe's raised its full-year profit and sales forecast in a sign more Americans are sprucing up their homes. That stock gained 6%. And Staples reported a better-than-anticipated profit. The office supplier will close 170 more stores to stay competitive. Its guidance was also solid. Shares edged up 9%.
The days of discounted PlayStation models are over at Walmart. The retailer is cracking down on a consumer scam. That's after consumers found a way around its price matching policy and used it to buy $400 PlayStations for $90. Amazon users were caught creating fake ads for the game consoles, labeling them with false price tags, and then trying to pass them off as genuine to Walmart. The retailer says it is changing its price matching policy.
A shareholder vote on whether to sell Family Dollar to Dollar Tree is being delayed. The vote is now set for December 23rd instead of December 11th. Family Dollar says it's waiting for word from regulators. Dollar Tree is eager to get the deal done, even if it means selling off some stores.
There's a lot happening at Netflix. The movie and TV streaming service is launching down under by making a move into Australia and New Zealand. Netflix says investors can expect a sizable expansion next year. Meantime, Nielsen says it'll begin measuring viewing figures for Netflix and Amazon Prime. Also making headlines, Netflix is scrapping plans to air a Bill Cosby special in light of sexual assault allegations brought against the comedian.
Checking the economic calendar for today, its initial and continuing unemployment claims, CPI for October, existing home sales, Philly Fed, leading indicators, and natural gas inventories. On the earnings calendar, Zoe's Kitchen, Best Buy, Gap, GameStop, Intuit, and Dollar Tree. Still to come, one money manager says he sees some shine in Ford. And our critic predicts the Hunger Games will have an unprecedented weekend at the box office. Plus, encouraging news about the fight against Ebola. Don't miss it.
Ebola may be dropping out of the headlines, but a number of companies are still seeing fallout from the deadly virus. In West Africa, the Wall Street Journal reports that the mining industry is reeling from the outbreak. Miners have been forced to pause projects in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, the countries hit hardest by Ebola. Drug stocks such as Tecmira Pharma remain volatile as companies try to find a cure. That stock, by the way, fell 1.5% yesterday.
Now on to a status update on the spread of Ebola. Joining me on set this morning, Michael Nienhuis, president of AmeriCares. He oversees a team of doctors on the ground in Liberia where the outbreak is prevalent. Glad to have you here. What are you hearing from healthcare workers?
Well, we're hearing a couple of things. Number one, this epidemic is not done. Despite the fact that it's lost attention here, I think, in the United States, it's still killing people every day in West Africa, and we need to continue to work on it.
What's your assessment of efforts to contain the disease?
I think they've been good. The disease started earlier in the year. The first indication that AmeriCares had of it, so we have one of our partner hospitals raise their hand in April and tell us they had some cases and could we do anything to help them. So we've been working on it since then. And a lot of people have responded. The fact that we have American doctors and nurses who are willing to go over there and be on the front lines is really impressive.
Wonderful people. Do you see this as an epidemic that could become very widespread?
I think we're going to be able to contain it within the 3 countries that are dealing with it most now, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. There have been a little bit of a spread into some neighboring countries, but they've been able to stop it there. Certainly we've been able to do that here, but it is a big deal still in those 3 countries in West Africa, and we have to keep the pressure on.
Are you encouraged by what you're hearing from drug companies who are trying to stop the disease?
Yeah, and of course we have great partnerships with companies that are already doing that. The company Baxter, for instance, have donated thousands and thousands of bags of IV fluids, which are critical to the health of the patients there. Another company, Cardinal Health, has donated so many materials to protect health workers there, gowns and masks and gloves and boots and all of that. So we've had a great corporate response.
Do you think we'll have a cure anytime soon?
I don't know if we'll have a cure, but it is actually easy to stop if you have a functioning health system with health workers who know what they're doing. That was not the case in those 3 countries when it started. But we need to rebuild that infrastructure so that we can stop it the next time.
That is very good to know. Thank you for coming here today.
Thanks for having us and for the interest.
Coming up, is Ford stock about to pick up? And triple threat, The Hunger Games are back. Is the film about to blow away box office records? the Hunger Games have a big weekend ahead. Our movie man is here with a preview of what is being called the darkest Hunger Games yet. What would that performance look like at the box office?
It's going to be something that's kind of unprecedented, actually. This is going to be a weekend to watch at the box office because the Hunger Games franchise, no franchise in history has ever opened its first 3 movies to over $150 million at the box office, and this one is probably going to do that.
And good to mention here, we're going into the Thanksgiving holiday and then Christmas right after that.
Yeah, this film, though it has some minor competition over Thanksgiving, it should easily be #1 at least for the next 3 weeks. And we talk about these franchises, we've talked about dips in the past. There's sometimes franchises start really big and start to dissipate over time, or other movies they start off slow and they build the buzz, and then the sequels are really big.
Do you think the film will have a dark edge?
It's a very good film, actually. I've seen the film, and it does have a dark edge. I think all these films have a dark edge to it, and I think that they have done a really great job of all these young adult stories that I've had. I think The Hunger Games is the best one that we've had since the Harry Potter films.
Good to know that.
Yes.
Here's a look at what happened at the box office last weekend. Here you go, Dumb and Dumber 2, no misspell.
Right.
Big Hero 6, #2, Interstellar at #3, Beyond the Lights, and Gone Girl at #5. We have to talk about Interstellar.
Yeah.
Paramount Pictures is doing something completely off the charts. The company is offering an unlimited ticket. It allows people to use that ticket time and time again to go see the movie.
Yeah, at AMC Theaters, if you're a member of their AMC Stubs program, their sort of rewards program, you have the opportunity to buy these tickets. It's either $19.99 or $34.99, probably if you live in New York. But this is a really great marketing ploy. Whether or not people take advantage of going to see the movie 2 or 3 times, what they're really doing is basically saying this is an opportunity for people who maybe didn't understand the movie to go see it multiple times, or if you really loved it, to go see it multiple times. And based on some of the theories that I've heard out there, I think people could use the opportunity to see this movie a few more times to get it right.
It's that deep?
It is.
So gimmick, but do you think it will work as a critic?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see whether people will buy the ticket. And if I bought this pass, could I just give it to you and you go see it for a first time, or could you go see any movie in the theater? It'll be curious to see how well these passes are actually sort of marked. I don't think it really matters to them. I think as long as people buy the thing, they'll have free run of the place, and that's fine. They're just promoting Interstellar at this point.
Wins as the ploy of the year at the box office.
That's right.
Way to go, Paramount. Good to have you here. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Just ahead, why one money manager is taking the on-ramp to buy shares of an American car company. Chart Talk is next. Matt Shapiro, president of MWS Capital, is here to take us out on the open road for a closer look at Ford. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Angie.
The stock is trading around $15. Are you looking for any kind of a ramp up?
I am actually, and I've been buying it around here, and I actually bought it higher around 16 right before it dropped on a couple months ago. They had an analyst report that they weren't doing well in South America, aren't doing well in Europe. Bigger write-downs, things are terrible in Russia. Stock dropped from 16, bottomed all the way down to 13.5. But I kept on buying it, really on the story of the Ford F-150, because despite their global operations, most of Ford's profits, and especially in North America, are in the light to medium trucks. And the new F-150, everyone knows, all aluminum, high tech, it's leading the market, is going to be a big driver of their profits over the next 3 years.
You're really counting on this truck. And pickup sales have been strong overall anyway for a lot of the automakers.
Well, yes, and look at the price of oil and gas. People are going to start diving into those heavy SUVs and trucks. They like them. Ford pickups always command a premium in the marketplace, and the new design and new look is generally going to be a winner. And I like the way that they took a lot of risks to put this whole package together with the all-aluminum Ford.
What do you think about the news that we heard this week on the CEO? The CEO pay at Ford is more than what the company pays to Uncle Sam in taxes. As a money manager, does that bother you at all, or is that something that you calculate into how you decide to buy a stock?
Well, I don't want to get into the politics of CEO pay. Obviously, I'm not thrilled about stocks, like United Healthcare. The CEO had huge exit package. I don't like that a lot. I think politically it's a question that, for me, I think wages for all of Americans need to rise because of renewed capital investment in the economy. And that's exactly what Ford did, is made a big investment into their new F-150. So that's something I really like to see.
Well, thank you for your views today on our show. Have a good day, Matt.
Thanks, Angie.
It's time for us to dash out of here for today. Coming up tomorrow, Traders Unplugged. The guys will come out swinging over Microsoft's move past Exxon. From all of us at First Business, have a great Thursday.